So, after signing 3 players in 4 days last week and an emphatic opening day victory against Brentford, Forest are really setting things up to be an outstanding transfer window. We're just a couple of signings away from being able to say that. We've been saying for weeks now that we need a couple of fullbacks and a midfielder, but that clearly seems to be the priority now, because the attack is really starting to take shape. With Amai Hutchinson, Callum Wendu and McAtee confirmed last week, we have 2 players or even 4 players in every position when it comes to the striker. There is still a chance that we see Jota Silva be moved on, and for that reason you could definitely see us signing another winger. I wouldn't be totally against keeping Jota as a depth player, but I think for a lot of reasons you could definitely see us trying to upgrade him too. But let's talk about the biggest news of the week and what's been going on for what feels like forever. Douglas Luiz. It finally looks like we're going to be getting him at Nottingham Forest. An initial loan with a 30 million buy option if certain clauses are met. This is a really big statement of intent, and to think that you looked at that midfield against Brentford, none of those deserve to get dropped at all. You cannot be dropping Elliot Anderson or Morgan Gibbs-White. So it really is Ibrahim Sangara's place to lose, in my opinion. And off the back of that game against Brentford, it would be pretty criminal to take him out of the team. So yes, when you sign a player like Douglas Luiz, you're surely going to be starting him most weeks, but I think it's up to Sangara as well as Anderson and Gibbs-White to keep their place. I have a feeling this might be like a James Ward-Prowse scenario where we've signed a player to cover for an injured player, because of course Dominguez is injured. We've not got any idea when he's going to come back. It could be a while though. Last year we saw Danilo get injured early on for a lot longer than Dominguez is probably going to be. We needed a midfielder, we bought in Ward-Prowse. Is it a similar situation here? We've signed somebody on loan of quite high reputation, obviously a lot higher than Ward-Prowse ever was, and they're going to cover, or are they going to potentially upgrade? Well, surely Douglas Luiz is going to be brought in for more than just cover, but we're in a very privileged position now where all of our midfielders have something to offer, and absolutely you could put them into a starting 11 and they'll do a job. Apparently, Douglas Luiz is going to have his medical on Friday, and we're going to see him probably be announced soon. I don't see us having him for Palace. I think it would be a bit unlikely, but surely from West Ham onwards, we do have Douglas Luiz, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one works. I don't really know how he's going to fit into the team because it's such a privileged position, like I say, with the midfielders we've got, but we need him for sure. With the extra games, you could surely see a bit of rotation. Maybe it might be a case in the Europa League we play one player, the Premier League we play another, or possibly depending on who we're playing. Obviously, then you might be able to change the shape or just have a bit of rotation. I think you're obviously going to see that. So probably you'll see a fair amount of game time from probably all of our midfielders over the season. But David, how can I enjoy the season while also doing something fun on the side? Well, I'll tell you. Match Bingo takes bingo, sports betting and football and puts it all into one combined app. It's like normal bingo but for football, so therefore a lot more interesting. Over £200,000 have been won so far by players who have played Match Bingo. So check out Match Bingo. You see the link in the description below. That was the world's worst keeping up it. Or use the QR code on screen right now. Please like and subscribe. He is the only midfielder we're being linked with because we now need to focus on the fullback area. We obviously saw the story for Rico Lewis come at the end of last week. I didn't even talk about this because it came after I made that video. It moved that quickly last week. I genuinely was struggling to fit everything in. This week's been a lot calmer, thankfully, but what we do know is Rico Lewis is set to stay at Man City and sign a new contract until 2030. So this isn't going to happen. He's clearly not going to come to Forest now. I don't think he ever really was that close to coming either. However, this rumour may very well suit us a lot better, and it's a familiar name. Nottingham Forest want to bring Matty Cash back to the City ground. I cannot believe we're possibly going to see this. And sometimes people say you don't want to go back and bring an old player back, but I think this suits us down to the ground. Let's look at the evidence. If he comes into Forest, he's not necessarily going to come in and demand starts every single week. I think rotation is absolutely what Matty Cash is all about. Him and Ol Aina, I think that is an incredible set of fullbacks for us. Of course, he knows the club. It's changed drastically since he left, but he knows what Forest are all about, and it suits surely what we are now. And also, the homegrown rule. This is something we've got to consider as well. In Europe, you've got to have 4 players homegrown, trained at the club, and it's a bit misleading, to be honest. I don't fully understand that rule, but Matty Cash would surely be somebody that fits into that. Now, despite him being a Poland international now, I believe he would still fall into that. So this might be why I want to bring back an ex-player so they fit into this category, because if we can't fill those 4 spots, then we lose that spot. We can't just put somebody else there. And Matty Cash would not only come in to fill that spot, but he would be arguably the perfect backup to Ola Aina, and somebody that could surely come and start games, who has completely transformed his career since he left Forest, playing in the Champions League. He's played 180 odd times for Aston Villa. He's become a hero for them. There's been no formal approach from Matty Cash so far, and Villa do want to keep him. There's apparently been new contract talks held with him and Villa, but I'm not sure how likely this is to happen, because we are being linked with another right back, but I would absolutely love to see this happen. Another player being linked with at right back is a player who probably isn't that well known in England, but somebody who does appear to have some pretty good potential and could fit what we need. In Jose Angel Carmona. This is a Sevilla right back, 23, so he's younger than Matty Cash by several years. That could be a tempting thing. Forest are apparently in advanced talks with this one, so seems to be a lot more advanced than any chance of Matty Cash returning to Forest. And we are in talks to give him a deal that would last until 2030. And there's also talks that David Carmo could go the other way. Obviously, an outcast at Forest this summer, not played a senior game. It looks like he could be going out the door and the other way. We spoke last week about Carmo being linked with Valencia, but it looks like he's definitely going to go to the Liga, but not to Valencia. Could be part of this deal. Carmona has played 54 times for Sevilla and scored 2 goals in the process, as well as also playing for Getafe and Elche. So he's got a lot of experience in Spain, never played in this country, of course. 12 million, I'm hearing, is the fee. So we know quite a bit about this, and it looks quite advanced, but I'm going to be lying if I say I know and I've seen much of him at all. But even though you don't want to sign somebody worse than what you've currently got, of course you want to bring in players on the same level, if not better. I don't think it's fair or right or even needed for us to be replacing either of Nico Williams or Ola Aina. Those two are so important to Forest in the way they play. We don't need to come in and sign a star right back that's going to come in and dislodge Ola Aina. That's not really needed or right. What we need is depth more than anything, and strong competition. So when we don't have one of those two, they can come in and comfortably play. Like Alex Moreno in the first half of last season, he was very good. Then, of course, he had a bit of a dip towards the end of the season, but he was a really good rotation player at the start of last season, the first half of it. We need something like that, in my opinion. The third right back we're being linked with this week is definitely somebody not on the level of Cash or Carmona, but possibly a future prospect in Kellen Fisher from Norwich City, the second player I've spoken about from Norwich this summer. Everton are also interested in Kellen Fisher, and might not be somebody you're too aware of, but played 38 times last season for Norwich in the Championship and has become an integral homegrown player at Carrow Road. The only real thing I can say about Kellen Fisher is I signed him on Football Manager at Chesterfield. He's been my main right back for the last 4 seasons, but that's probably not very helpful to you. I have a backstory of Kellen Fisher, but not one that's important. This, I generally do think, in real life terms, this would be a good bit of business. A depth player, in my opinion, probably somebody at least on the level of Eric De Silva Moreira, I'd say. But I'm not sure if it's quite what we need. Is he going to come in and play lots of games, you know, that can comfortably cover Ola Aina? I'm not so sure. Obviously, the last time I signed a player from Norwich in Amadeus, it didn't really work. Even though he was a fantastic player, he just never really got a consistent run of games. Speaking of Eric De Silva Moreira, we'll talk about him now, being as I just spoke about him. Apparently we're going to be loaning him out this summer. We don't know where to, but from The Athletic, Nuno has stated that Moreira probably needs a loan, so we're likely going to see him leave this summer on loan, and I think that's probably the right thing. Clearly a very talented player in there, but just isn't getting the regular games. I think he did have an injury last season, but even when he was fit, he was a bench player really at times. One other rumour in that I've seen this week, and this is quite a fresh story, and I'm not entirely sure if it's needed based on the fact we've got 4 strikers now. But it's being linked in Emin Demirovic. This is a Stuttgart striker, 27 years of age, this one. He's got a very good pedigree in the Bundesliga. He's played for, obviously, Stuttgart, as well as Augsburg, Leipzig, and Freiburg, so he's played loads of games in Germany, but I'm not really sure how he fits in because we've got 4 strikers now. Do we really need a 5th striker? I know we've got more football to play, but I'd arguably say Tyro's days are numbered now. He's signed 2 forwards, so do we really need somebody else? Unless we're going to use Jesus as a winger or as a number 10, and we've seen him play out wide there during pre-season, and maybe that's why we wanted to sign Calamuendu, so we could use Jesus elsewhere, and then that kind of allows Tyro to maybe still get the odd game. But why do you then need somebody else? You know, I'm not saying it's not needed, I mean I kind of am, but you know, I don't really know how he fits in my opinion. Leeds are also interested in this player. He's a Bosnian international. Like I say, fantastic pedigree in Germany, but I'm just not quite sure how this one would work if it did happen. And 2 outgoings this week. We've seen Carlos Miguel officially leave Forest, joining Palmeiras, believed to be a 4 million deal. Definitely the right move, didn't really work for Forest. I know he didn't get a lot of games, but the games he did play, Exeter for example, wasn't great. And the other thing is Marco Stamanik. This is also a done deal, leaving to join Swansea on a 4-year deal, believed to be 2 million. So for somebody who's not even played for Forest, 2 million. Again, if you add it all up, we've made some really good profit this summer on dead wooden players that just aren't going to play. On top of the likes of Danilo and Alanga, yes, but you add it all up, we've made a lot of money this summer. And that's probably why we've been able to sign so many players for a lot of money, because we've made as much money as we've spent. So we've been able to do that. Stamanik obviously was never really going to play for Forest, so the right move for him. A calmer week this week at Forest, but obviously another big deal is on the cards in Douglas Luiz. We clearly want a fullback, whether it's going to be Cash or Carmona. I have a feeling it'll be one of them two. Do we want a left back at this stage? I'd say probably yes. And then after that, we're looking pretty set. I mean, maybe another goalkeeper actually, just as a backup, but we're in a really good place if we get these fullbacks and this midfield signing sorted. Let me know what you think in the comments, everybody. Thanks for watching, Rads. Thanks for watching this video. Crystal Palace this weekend. That's going to be very spicy, I'm sure, for a lot of reasons. And thanks for watching. Up the Reds.